I mentioned earlier, I would have two separate pieces of sugar, which are two different colours. So like we did with the lemon, we'd layer them on top of each other. It would be a much larger size. We would roll it out into a giant rhubarb and custard. Chuck it in here called the batch roller. We would turn it on. So inside this machine are 4 heated roller plates. So once the sugar's in, it's still keeping it warm because I'm going to have to stretch it out into one big long line, and the sugar will eventually be about the size of the batch roller itself. So once I get to this step, I'll be pulling out the sugar, stretching it, and it should be about the size of my finger, which I can then thread through into the machine called the Rosterplast. So Rosterplast is quite simple. There's a shape inside in the middle, which is just a small oval. I would thread the sugar through. I would then turn it on. It would automatically pull the sugar all the way through. It would go into the shape and then come out in one long line rather than a sheet. There would be lots and lots of individual rhubarb and custards, which would then go down onto the carousel. That would spin round, it would coil up. And then this one is just blowing out cold air all the way down the pipe and all the way onto the sweets to help it cool down a lot quicker and make sure that none of the sweets stick together. So once we've got the big coil of the rhubarb and custard, someone would then come over and we would just break them up, and because they're cooled down, they will just snap into their own individual sweets. The final process before they go into the tubs, into the shop, we would load them all into this machine here, which is called the crystallizer. We would chuck them all in. We would then get 2 or maybe 3 scoops of caster sugar and sprinkle it over the top as if there wasn't already enough sugar in these sweets. We still had a bit more at the end. We would then make this spin round, and it would rotate and it would sand around the edges, make the sweets smooth, give them a nice finish, and it also makes our sweets last up to 1 to 2 years without using any preservatives. Also, all of our flavouring and colours is completely natural. We also like to make everyone aware that they are vegetarian and vegan friendly. No animal products are used whatsoever, and they are also gluten free. So my sweets now should have cooled down enough for me to just pick them up and then drop them onto the table, and they should start to break into individual pieces. So we'll give it a go with this one. There we are. So some of them are still a little bit sticky. Still quite warm. So it's just simply breaking them apart. And then obviously I mentioned that the crystallizer, it does sand around the edges and smoothens off the sweet. However, that does take 10 to 20 minutes usually. So instead today, I'm going to use the sieve to my left. And what the sieve will do is simply take off the sharper parts, and it will round them off and give them a smoother finish. So let me just give that a shake. We also like to make sure that when I do bring these out for you all to try, don't bite into them straight away, as the centres will still be incredibly warm and incredibly sticky, and I don't want any visits from the dentist. So I'll load them all up, and that will be our final product. So these will be our fresh lemons. You can find them out in the shop as well. We'd also like to say thank you very much for coming to today's sweet demonstration, and we do hope you enjoy the rest of your time at the Needles, and I will bring these out for you now. Thank you very much.